And Janine, let me know when we're ready.
Hi, Pernell. The meeting is now live streaming. You and Andrea can start when you're ready.
Excellent.
I think we have 9 people on right now. 9 council members. Am I counting correctly?
9. Who are we waiting for? Jack and
Jack is on. Jack is called in, I believe, so he's on.
okay. I don't
So
see
that
Dale.
should be 10.
Okay.
Dale's there.
I'm here,
Here. Oh, yes. Thank you.
not even muted at the moment.
Okay. All right. Okay, well, we're going to get started. The Cuyahoga County Council Committee of the Whole meeting for Tuesday, April 13th is now called to order. Andrew, would you please call the roll?
Good afternoon, everyone. Calling the roll, Ms. Stevens. Ms. Stevens is absent at the moment. Ms. Simon,
Here.
Ms. Baker,
Here.
Mr. Miller,
Here,
Mr. Sweeney,
Present.
Mr. Tuma,
Here. Here.
Mr. Gallagher,
Here.
Mr. Schran. Mr. Schran is absent at the moment.
Andre,
Ms. Conwell,
he's on mute. He can't unmute himself. Councilman Schrock.
Okay.
He's trying.
about changing. Okay, present. Ms. Conwell is present. Mr. Schran is present, just having technical difficulties. Ms. Brown.
Here.
Council President Jones,
Here.
you have a quorum.
Thank you, Andrea. Andrea, has anyone signed in for public comment?
No, Mr. President, we have not received public comment.
All right. All right. Well, today we have a discussion. Dave Gilbert is going to give us a brief summary of our NFL draft and give us some updates on that. So, Dave, at this moment, I just want to turn it over to you, and we're ready with open ears.
Great. Pernell, thank you. And Rachel Stensbacher also from the Sports Commission is joining us. She'll do a little bit of this and we'll drive the presentation. Just nice to see everybody, and Chantel Brown, a member of our board. So I always have to recognize that. So thank you. A lot of friends on here. As Pernell said, really just thought it would be great to give you an update. The draft is in 16 days, opening up here in Cleveland. As you all know, it's been quite an adventure due to COVID as to whether the draft would take place and how. While we'll get into a little bit of the details, just excited that it is happening as a large, live, but safe event. And we think in a lot of ways, in many ways, could be even more impactful based on where we are within our community and our economy and how it's been hit by COVID, as this might have been as a larger live event had we not been in the pandemic. So I know we only have till 1:30. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, zipping through a lot of the slides, but then it'll leave us time at the end for plenty of questions. So Rach, maybe if you wouldn't mind sharing the screen. Terrific, thank you. So going on to the next slide, a little bit about the Greater Cleveland Sports Commission, just as an opener. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, been around for about 21 years. At the end of the day, our job is to grow the economy of Northeast Ohio through attracting and hosting major events. And here's a little bit about our mission, vision, how we conduct ourselves. And if we go on to the next slide, ultimately what we do is we compete against cities from around the country, sometimes around the world, for the right to host major sporting events. And then we get very active and involved in the management of those events when they come to Northeast Ohio. And in many ways, it's a bit of the secret sauce of the organization. We try to provide more service than any other city in the country in hosting these events. So oftentimes the yes we will get is not just because they like Cleveland, but because they think they will be, we have to prove to them, they will be more successful here than anywhere else. And Cleveland for many, many years, Rach, if you want to go on to the next slide, for many, many years is truly one of the top handful of cities in America for hosting major events by almost any measure. Number of events, size, scale, economic impact. And since we started in 2000, we've been responsible for about 230 national events taking place in Cleveland or held for future years. Total impact of, at this point, about $830 million in direct spending. Next, if we go to the next slide, this, not going to get into a lot of detail, but attracting the events is a long process. Always competitive. Sometimes we were just awarded a big event for Cleveland. We've been working on for 6 years. We lost to Rio de Janeiro the first time around, and 4 years later, we were the first U.S. city for a recently announced event called the Pan Am Masters Games in Cleveland in 24. So very highly competitive. And if we go on to the next slide, this just talks about the types of things that we do as an organization to enhance the events that are here. And we do everything, oftentimes taking on the entire event. Obviously, we always have to look at resources, what we have the ability to do, the ROI for the community, or taking on lots of these types of pieces and more. Financially, we have support from a lot of different places. City and county both have provided economic development grants for a number of years. We do not take it for granted. We know we have to provide a significant ROI or we shouldn't be getting it. And we're supported in a large way. Well over 50% of our funding is from the private sector, and you know, again, always have to show that same argument. It's about ROI for the community. I did want to mention something that's been very important to us this year. I'm not going to get into great detail given the time, but the time and energy we've put in, we created a board and staff equity task force. And what we did was we really looked through the lens of equity and inclusion in every piece of organization. We broke it down by workforce, workplace, and marketplace, and came up with a playbook, a dashboard that we will be measuring to the board year in and year out. And again, we've always felt like we did a good job, but quite frankly, we need to do better. And that goes with everything that we do. And again, be happy at any time if anybody would like to share the playbook that we created. I'm not going to go into great detail, but we're already, you know, we think well on our way to improving everything we do as an organization through that lens. So we'll get on to talking about the draft. It starts with something we call velocity. And we were at a point in time about 4 years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago, where we had in front of us bidding on probably at one time the four of the single largest events that Cleveland has the ability to host. We had just been awarded the MLB All-Star Game, which took place, as you all know, in 2019. And within 6 months, we were in a bid process for NFL Draft, NBA All-Star Game, and the Women's Final Four. And for us, we had to, in order to do these, if we were going to be, if we were awarded any one of these events, they're what we call here community obligations. They are what an event will ask for in return for bringing that event to a community and bringing the finances that it does. And in almost no case do you actually write a check. We don't write a check to the NFL, but it's things like that they'll ask for any city that they're going to, free facilities, marketing, signage, all kinds of safety, security, all kinds of things. And as our job as a nonprofit managing these is to, we actually sign the contracts. We sign on the bottom line. And if you take the draft as an example, actually, I'll just go back to Velocity. All four of those events together, we felt the budget was going to be around $15.5 million, about 85% of that in cash. And we through a lot of different means have raised about 93% of those dollars, and some from the state. Destination Cleveland put in some, all based on being awarded the events. And we've raised well over $5 million privately from the local corporate and foundation community. And those are covering these community obligations that we're managing in order for the event to be here. But the flip side is these events combined will be bringing in well over $250 million in direct spending in the community. And what that generates in taxes, jobs, and others is tremendous. The bid process for the draft was highly competitive. We were bidding against 21 other NFL cities when we started, and through about a 1.5 year process. The first round, we didn't get the draft. We went back, we went to New York. We had made it to a finalist. We kind of retooled our bid, and we were back in almost 2 years ago, we were formally awarded the bid. Rachel, if you want to go on one more. These are the primary organizations engaged, although we've had a lot of others very, very involved. But this is an enormous community effort. Well, the Sports Commission, we're very proud of what we do, but we can't do it alone. We are the point organization. But all these organizations here are taking on different pieces, the city in particular, as it relates to safety and security, and the City of Cleveland Police Force. We're doing so many activations around downtown to make the city look, act, and feel ready for this event, and it's going to be tremendous. And of course, when the event is coming, Cleveland and Northeast Ohio are going to benefit in so many different ways. If we want to go to the next slide, Rach. Last year, the draft was seen by 55 million viewers. And any of you who watch it when it's here in 2 weeks, the NFL does an incredible job of marrying the draft to the community in which it is the host. It has become one of the largest, most watched and most visited sporting events in America, and it's not even a competition. And we expect, again, probably somewhere 45-50 million viewers on top of enormous social media, and you will see on TV, they will make the draft look and feel like Cleveland. It's pretty amazing what they do. It's going to show our community an incredible light. The economic infusion in Nashville, the last live draft was estimated at about 120 million. We don't have, but that was with somewhere around estimated over 100 million visitors or in that number from outside the market. We know with how it's being planned with COVID, it's not going to be that. But we're going to do a study, so we will know afterward what that impact was, but still going to be incredible. And of course, I think the way we're seeing the community already rallying, it's going to be a huge source of pride that we are the host. And I really believe this will help slingshot us out of COVID. What this means now to those businesses, our restaurants, our hotels, the industry that has been hit hardest in the country and locally because of COVID is going to benefit greatly from this. And we'll have every downtown hotel and many suburban largely sold out at rates they haven't seen in years. And it's putting a lot of people back to work. Some great views of what this is going to look like. It will transform the downtown lakefront. We're very fortunate that not only do we have a very picturesque site, but it's a site that offers a very large outdoor footprint, over 500,000 square feet of outdoor space, which will allow for safe, spaced crowds that will be fairly large. The NFL has worked for half a year with the CDC, State Health Department, City Health Department to make sure all of it can be put into place. Again, you see, it's just going to be amazing what is already now under construction down there. And this, the NFL builds, this is the kind of thing they come in and they spend, I don't know, some very large sum. We don't pay for this locally. What we gave them the pallet. They come in, they hire the people, they spend the money, they hire the caterers. They are pumping a huge amount of money into our community, well above and beyond what any of the visitors are going to show. If you look at the next slide, the main stage they're building, it's almost like a small city and not a stage. You have 2 TV sets and house bands and people sitting up there, and it's gonna be incredible the way Cleveland looks and feels from this. So there's really kind of overall sort of 2 main pieces to the draft. One is the NFL draft experience, and what that is, it's almost going to be an interactive football theme park that is very large, outdoors, spaced. It's always a free event, always has been, I presumably always will be. The big difference here is with the draft experience, it's all going to be done with time ticketing. So they will know how many people can get in at any one time to maximize safety and maximize the number of people flowing throughout. But it's going to allow tens and tens of thousands of people over the course of the days to be in and through the draft experience. Everybody can go on, and if they go on the NFL's One Pass app, they can get their free tickets. And we're seeing right now the first tranche that went out nearly sold out. And what's great is we're also seeing a lot of out-of-towners where it's that infusion of dollars is going to be there. Then there is also a second area closer to the draft stage. Normally that area, again, wide open. If any of you watched Nashville, you saw up Lower Broadway, 100,000 people. It's almost like a Times Square feel. That's going to be very different because of COVID. You're going to have everybody in there will have to have been vaccinated, and they're setting up all the protocols for that. But that will certainly be fewer people. But then in the evenings, there's going to be, in fact, I think the first announcement is going to be out in the next day or two. Very big name national entertainment. The Rock Hall has helped work on that. All free, and fireworks, just a great, exciting free event. And you could stand on the malls and listen and watch. And there's going to be signage all around downtown and some other cool things that are going to just, our city is going to feel electric with this. And again, what's really cool is it's all free and open to the public. A lot of great community benefit on top of it. The NFL is awesome in this. They've got a lot of this is going to keep coming out over the next couple of weeks, a great NFL sustainability plan. Business Connect is their program. We're working on a year with them to provide as much business as possible to local minority vendors. And they have a full-time team working on this. We've partnered with them, with a lot of other organizations to provide those lists, and they are being used. Significant youth programming, and I'm going to turn over to Rachel on the next slide. Because we, as a sports commission, it's critical to us that all of our events tied to our local youth, and particularly these large events, that they leave a huge impact. And there's going to be other legacy impacts related to fields being, new turf fields being done, trees being planted. A lot of this stuff is going to come out in detail over the next couple of weeks, but a lot of care has been given into not only the economic infusion of the draft while it's here, but what kind of legacy it's going to leave. So Rachel, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk a little bit about the velocity programming, and then we'll wrap up for questions.
Sure thing. And again, we're kind of running through this pretty quickly. So the presentation will be shared with all of you after the call. And so if you have questions, you can certainly let us know. As David mentioned, a big part of what we do when we host major national events is create opportunities for community engagement. We like to use these events as opportunities to discuss important community topics, to forward important agendas, and really use them as an opportunity to reach the community and have important conversations. So we have a couple different events that have happened, and then a few that are on the way. So one, Wednesdays for Women was a conversation that we had a couple of weeks ago with Callie Brownson and Allie LaForce talking about women in the sports and business industry. It was fantastic. There's a recording of it. If you're interested, you can certainly find that on our website. Just last Friday, we had a really fantastic conversation, a City Club Friday Forum with Dan Moulthrop. Our guests were Andrew Hawkins and Joe Thomas from the Cleveland Browns, former Browns players, talking about their very interesting and somewhat unusual friendship. They come from very different backgrounds, and they found each other through the team. team, and they've connected on a level where they share and discuss lots of topics around social justice and racism and things like that. And they have a podcast that they do, and they discussed kind of the way that they came together and how they feel about different things and what they're doing to try to advance, equality for all. So it was a really great conversation last Friday. Again, it's available on our website. You can check that out. The big one that we're working on is called the Cleveland Power of Sports Summit. This is an event, a free public event that will take place during the draft. So the same days, April 29th through May 1st. We're going to be at Progressive Field, and we selected that venue because of its open air format. With COVID looming, we felt like open air was the best way to go. Of course, we'll follow all the other COVID protocols that we will be following, of course. Our goals with our Velocity programming are to provide opportunities for broad community participation, use these events as a springboard to further important community agendas, as I mentioned, and also to provide our local sponsors and partners with opportunities for engagement and involvement. The summit is basically a celebration of diversity, equity, and inclusion, demonstrating the power of sport as a catalyst for change. So we're having 3 days of activities, conversations, panel discussions, workshops, resource fair type situation where folks can come and learn and discuss all about diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're focused on 5 different key areas: adaptive sports, gender equity, racial equity, LGBTQIA athletes and inclusion, as well as mental health. So those are our 5 pillars. We have 4 different ways that we're discussing these things. One is the Equality Lounge, which is a series of panel discussions. We have 18 different conversations that will be happening over the course of those 3 days with local and national organizations and representatives. We also have a digital learning lounge for folks that might be at home. You can go on right now to our website and access tons of digital content around those 5 pillars of diversity, equity, and equality. We've got our community corner, which, as I mentioned, is our resource zone. We've got about 20 different local organizations that are going to be posted up there, handing out information, answering questions, and promoting their resources. And then workshops, demos, and expos. We actually are offering 4 free workshops. All are around diversity, equity, and inclusion topics, including coded language and intrinsic inclusion and Cleveland sports and social change. So free workshops at Progressive Field. We also have demos. For example, Dancing Wheels is performing. The Wheelchair Cabs are going to be there providing a demonstration, and others. So it's going to be a really interesting event. Like I said, it's free and open to the public, April 29th through May 1st. And our website is clesportsummit.org. You can certainly find this information on our website as well, clevelandsports.org. But we hope that you'll come. We hope you'll spread the word. There's a massive marketing campaign going on right now about this. So we'd love to have you there.
Thanks, Rach. One last thing I want to mention with that is the summit's a great example. No other city's done this before. This is something that Cleveland has added. We made a real commitment when we bid on this that we were going to use it as a real tool for change, not just the economics. And so this is the kind of thing that makes these organizations want to choose Cleveland for their events. We have a whole crew from NBA coming in during the draft, and they're going to be at this summit. And these people all know each other. They watch each other. And this is what gives Cleveland the kind of reputation that it does. Finally, we are already deep in the planning for NBA All-Star Game taking place next February. It's made a particularly crazy time of gearing up for the draft, getting going with this, along with the Cavs and the NBA and others. But thankfully, this stuff doesn't stop for us. And again, finally, just talks a little bit about the impact of the Sports Commission since our founding, and that's really it. We now have, I think we ran through, and we still have about 5 minutes for questions. I do want to say that we are going to be sending to each of you. I think you're going to be getting it today, I believe, an email from us, because we want to make sure that county council members have a chance to experience the draft. So you're going to get an email from us of how you participate. And if you look for an email from our office today, it'll explain all the details.
Great, Dave. We'll look forward to that. At this time, are there any questions for Dave from council? Marty? Councilman Sweeney, and then Councilwoman Baker.
Thank you.
And Marty, your mute is still on.
Thank you, Mr. President. To David and Rachel, as always, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Just one small question. You mentioned the safety forces. Is the sheriff involved at all, just on the county theme in regards to participation?
Marty, I am not 100% sure. It's a good question. The City of Cleveland Police Department is taking the lead, coordinating with NFL security on all of the details. We're certainly in the meetings, but really between the two of them, honestly, I'm not quite sure if and how they've engaged the sheriff, but I can certainly find out.
No, there's no need to find out. We have a wonderful resource with the sheriff's department. I'm finding out, and the new sheriff, and don't be shy to tap into all our resources in the county. And I look forward to experiencing the NFL draft and keep doing what you do. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty.
Councilwoman
So
Baker.
this is Captain Jerome with the Sheriff's Department. I can answer that real quick.
Oh,
Thanks, Sheriff.
go right ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Sweeney, we will be supporting the Cleveland Division of Police with some downtown patrolling all 3 nights.
That's a pretty awesome table you have there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your answer. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Councilwoman Baker, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. And I guess I'm just thought I would get a little clarification. We got an email yesterday from Matt Jones regarding the safety features of ticketing. So one is called the vaccination fan zone and the other one is called NFL draft experience. I don't know if I heard that in your presentation thoroughly, but maybe I just wasn't paying close attention.
Sure. And that's a great question. That is actually the email I referenced. I didn't realize it had already been sent. So the NFL draft experience, that's kind of the large outdoor fan zone, if you will.
Right.
And that one, you will need to be masked to get in, and they will have hundreds of people in there making sure that the mask mandates are being held. No food or drink walking around, so only specified areas. They've really, again, worked with both state CDC and the city to create the plan. And then the other area, the vaccinated area, is the area close to the stage, separate entrance. And that's the area that people chosen to go in there will need to have proven their vaccination. And they haven't come out with the exact details coming out in the next few days, but they are setting something up at the convention center. So prior to being able to go into that area, if you have your ticket, you will have had gone to the convention center to an area to show your vaccination card. And but those minute details are coming out soon. But that's the basics of how that will work.
Okay. And how many will be allowed in that? That's an indoor facility then?
The good news, every bit of it is outdoors.
Every bit's
So every bit of the draft is outdoors, which is great for us. I think it's great from a health and safety standpoint. And it's another reason why it's just played so well on our downtown lakefront, because we have such a, not only beautiful, but such a large outdoor space that, you know, in non-COVID times is meant to accommodate enormous numbers. But even now, it has really helped us a lot to still have what will be good numbers based on CDC guidelines because we are outdoor.
These are two distinct different places though. Am I right if I read it correctly?
They're basically adjacent to each other, but they are separate and distinct with separate entrances.
And how many will be allowed in the fan zone?
So they haven't come out with the final numbers. They're finalizing. They have a rough idea. But you know, what we do know is, you know, it'll certainly be tens of thousands through, but probably in the next week, the NFL will announce the exact number that they expect.
And one last follow-up question, Chair, if I may. So even though, because I know there's rules here that they have to be fully vaccinated by April 15th, which allows them 2 weeks for that vaccination to be completely part of it all working. But they still want to have all the restrictions of distancing and masking in that area?
They do. They're being, and I guess I would say to their credit, they're being as cautious as possible. And they have a lot of celebrities coming in, and a lot of the decision for a lot of these celebrities to come in is based on how safe the NFL is being. All of the rules related to that have really been created by the NFL. And they definitely erred on the side of caution.
Be interesting to see how all that plays out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will say one thing that's helpful to note is the Super Bowl it was held, now about 2.5 months ago. And they were able to test a lot of this out at the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl also had they had in many ways a similar setup, other than obviously being in the bowl, a small crowd in the bowl for the game. And it actually worked out very well. So it was good that they tested a lot of this out and it worked.
Okay. Well, thank you for the answers. I
Sure
appreciate it.
thing.
Any further questions?
Great. Pernell, if you or anybody else has any other questions, feel free to email me or anybody on our staff, and whatever you need, we'll do everything we can to get you the answers.
If I
Hey,
may,
Dave,
just
thank
one
you very-
final, if I just real quickly, President, if I may.
Go right ahead.
Is there I think I heard there's no cost to this for either the fan zone or the draft experience? Neither is
That's
a cost?
correct. Yeah,
There's a cost, just food and drinks, anything that you might buy.
correct. Everything is all free. Yeah.
Wow, okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
All right, you're welcome. All right, thank you, Dave. Thank you for that presentation. It's an exciting time here for Cleveland. So we're all looking forward to the draft. I think our Browns pick about 26, don't they?
Boy,
So
isn't it a nice time to not be in the top few picks? For all
Exactly,
the
not
good
be a
reasons.
number one pick. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Thanks,
Okay, well,
everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Yeah, Dave.
everyone.
See you, Rach.
Have a good afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
See you,
Marty.
Marty.
All right, good night, John Boy.
That was funny, President.
Yeah, I mean, the young folks didn't get that one.
Yeah.
I missed it. What's up?
Fortunately, I got it.
Somebody has to share it with me one day.
Right.
The Walton's reference.
Yeah.
It looks funny. Oh, John, okay. I still don't know. But anyways.
All right. Well, all right, well, let's see if we have any miscellaneous business.
Council
No.
President,
Yes, go right ahead.
I would like the record to reflect that Ms. Stevens has joined the meeting.
All right, welcome, Cheryl. All right, so if nothing else holds our attention, we will reassemble at 2 o'clock for our regular council meeting. All right, see you then, guys.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.
You too.